Good morning, welcome to another Tech Doctor TV. It has been a while between drinks. I had a few technical issues with some previous videos revolving around sound, which was no good because you couldn't hear me. So I've resolved those issues now, thankfully. So it is morning here. It is 10 past 8. I'm just waiting on a new bed delivery, so hence the civvies. No Tech Doctor uniform today. But we do have an interesting build. It's a gaming machine, quite a nice one. i7, 32 gig, a 4070 Ti, which is just sitting there nicely behind me. So that should be good. Triple fan radiator, water cooling and whatnot, and a nice Cooler Master white case. So very nice. So let's just get straight into it without any mucking about. I'll try and keep this moving along without too much delay. I know already that the water cooling is going to be an issue in terms of they're just a pain in the ass to set up. Fiddly, more than anything. Right, so I'm just going to flick the cameras around so you can see what I'm doing. I think that will be helpful. Order, move down. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to make that smaller. All right, so I'll make this one bigger. Excuse me, as I said, it's in the morning and I'm forcing my brain to think. Order and put myself in corner. There we go, that should be all right. Cool. All right, so box of goodies. So we're using the B60M Aorus Elite AX. I've built a machine with one of these before, just recently, and it's quite a nice board. The only thing you've got to watch out for these gigabyte boards at the moment is they are having a bit of an issue where, well, I built one and it installed a secondary user account after I did the Gigabyte app, which is supposed to look after all the drivers and bits and bobs. And generally speaking, those programs are pretty good, like Asus Armoury Crate. Even the MSI one isn't too bad. But the big issue is it doesn't matter if you say don't install it and don't ask me again, it'll just keep doing it over and over and over. You have to dig into the BIOS to disable it, which is a bit annoying. Most of them have that, but this seems to be one that just ignores you saying don't ask me again. So it's a little bit frustrating. But the fact that I installed a second user account on the machine I was building, password protected and all, mind you, just seemed, it's a bit on the nose. Why? Don't install a user account on someone's machine just because, someone there thinks it's a good idea. It's a little bit of an overreach. Like, you can use you should just check if the user account that's been set up is an admin account, which, let's face it, most people do set things up with an admin account. Then there should be any reason that they need to do an admin, their own account with a password protected. Anyway, carrying on a bit, but it really annoyed me. However, not enough to stop using Gigabyte because Gigabyte does make nice hardware, so it's easy enough to disable that anyway. So we've got a lovely i7 13700KF. Unlocked, and obviously doesn't come with its own cooler. i7 sticky. All right. Just wondering if I should bring this bench up, although it's a pretty good angle for you guys, isn't it? Pretty good distance, yeah. So I can make do, because I do have my desk that comes up and down, so I may move it at some point. Oh, out. Okie dokie. Yes, I'm really considering upgrades for my own machine at this point after having built. I mean, mine's an 11th Gen i7. I've just put 32 gig of RAM in there, but it's only got a 6600 XT video card, and while it's still a very capable machine, I'm not overly thrilled with the video card. It just has a lot of sort of little glitches now and then, so I don't know if it's about to have an issue or something. Plays games all right, but there's too many. There's a few nag screens that pop up, and I just think, it's DDR4. And after having built an i9 machine, I kind of feel like I want an i9 now. Do I need one? No. Do I want one? You bet I do. Okay, well I like to keep these boxes so he can go in place of the F. That was just an F. Whoops. And then we fell over. Screwdriver. Beep, 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 beep. Now, how have they... Okay, it's a single screw thing for the M.2. Take him off. Interesting. This is essentially the same board that I built the other machine on, the i9. And here you can see the traditional, screw the M.2 in, and over here you've got the real funky spring-loaded one. Now that were reversed on the other ones. I've got the screws I need right there from a previous build where I didn't need them. So I've been using these this Kingston NVMe lately because it's been a really good price, and a 7,000 up to 7,000 megabytes read. So it's not far off the, well, it's up there with the Samsung 980 Pro, but it's cheaper, which enables me to, well, you save money, and it's clients like that. And it's very easy to get caught up in the whole hullabaloo of really getting sort of caught up with speeds and everything. And while we want a fast one, the end of the day, it's not going to be a huge difference, other than say benchmarking. And if benchmarking is your thing, then go for the fastest drive you can get. But you may be paying more money for a game that isn't really there. So for instance, the machine I just built recently, the i9 one, had 64 gig of RAM, and we used the 980 Pro, a 500 gig for the boot drive, and then we used a 2 terabyte for storage and Scratch, because we made it primarily for the use was Lightroom and Photoshop, and Lightroom and Photoshop, they just love RAM. The more you can give it, the happier it is. What have I done? I shouldn't have done that. Like Hagrid. I shouldn't have taught that. See, distracted. I didn't need that screw in the end. I just got to put this thing back on. But yeah, so we used that, and with the idea being fast performance with things like rendering large photos. Oh, for God's sake. Let me just crouch down for a minute and have a look. I'll continue the story in a sec when I've got this sorted. Do I have this sorted? Not yet. Some of these are just a bit awkward to get on. You've got to get it in and under. To clip that front in, and then you've got to line up the screw. You've got to do these things blind. Who fucking came up with this design, honestly? Alright, you're on. You see, you just can't see. You're just hoping that you get it lined up. Alright, there we go, we got it. Gee, that was a pain in the ass. Anyway, back to the story. He had an i7 with, it was a 4th generation i7, 16 gig of DDR4, and just a traditional, like, older style 2.5 inch SSD and mechanical storage. So he had a 64 shot photo panorama we wanted to stitch together. So on the old machine he put it through Lightroom, and the preview took 30 minutes and then the full render took overnight, and it was essentially about 12 hours. So he wanted a machine that was going to do that, in obviously quicker time than that. So we threw together an i9. We spoke about his budget and everything. Threw together an i9 with 64 gig of DDR5. The 2 drives I mentioned, we used a RTX 3050, which was fine because no gaming, but we wanted a video card just to sort of help with the load. Water cooling, blah blah blah. I did video it, but that's one of the videos with the sound buggered up, so it's really pointless. I could have put some jaunty piano music like a silent movie, but that would have worn thin pretty quickly. So anyway, I did that. Same image. The render took 30 seconds. Not the render, sorry. The preview took 30 seconds, and the render took 4.5 minutes. So from 12 hours down to 4.5 minutes. That was just mind-blowing. I knew it was going to be good. I knew it was going to be better, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. So, yeah. If you need some power for Lightroom or something, there you go. Just imagine what we'd done if we'd had 128 gig of RAM. It would have rendered before we'd even decided to do it. Alright, just putting those little screws back into these mounts, because they are very easy to lose and disappear forever if you drop one. In you go. Alright, now I'm back on camera. Pop these in the thingy. And his static bag, I hang on to him. So, rubbish. Okay. Rubbish. What are you telling me? Oh, yeah. So we've got the Cooler Master Box TD500 Mesh V2. That's a mouthful. Client wanted a nice white box, so we got that. And we've got a white water cooling thing as well. And this motherboard, black, and it's silver, but white motherboards, they're out there, but they're expensive as buggery. So we'd rather spend the money on things like, put it towards a good video card, that sort of thing. Alright, so just bear with me while I just decase this. So, I'm seeing more and more cases using captive screws on the panels, which is a good thing because you ain't gonna lose them. And in the office, despite having all the plastic work mats underneath there, whoops, not on that side. It's black carpet. So that's, okay, so that just clicks in, that's good. So you've got a bit of certainty. Got plastic on the thingy, what's it? Because scratches, not the tempered glass is going to scratch that easily, but Alright, so we'll flip it down and have a look on this side. If you can see, we've got our RGB header and bands as well, a combo. Nice. So fan. They've got a spare fan, so there isn't one in the back of this case included. That's a bit of a poo, but we've got 3 at the front. And two spare RGB headers. Okay, so the reset switch header runs to this board, so you're not going to have a reset button on this case. That's going to look after managing the RGB lights externally, which I do like. We'll see how the Thermaltake setup fits in, but with 2 spare LED things, we should be right. So happy days. Lots of bits and things. The bag. We'll get them out. So first thing we're going to do, obviously, is size up the motherboard. Make sure it leaves the room for cable management. Alright. Silica gel, grommies, rubber grommies. There's the bag, the bag of screws, and then there's the for the tool free if you're using a mechanical drive, which I don't think. Well, people do use them obviously, but they are in decline, I reckon, because the price of SSDs just keeps on tumbling. The fact that you can buy a 1 terabyte drive, okay, and it's certainly not the top performer, but you can buy a 1 terabyte drive for like $60, or sometimes $30 in the US or whatever. Pretty cheap. All right, can we see that? Yep, I just got to watch out for this PowerPoint. Getting a couple more rigs coming in for the overhead stuff, because these are just a little bit limiting. I mean, it's all right, but I can't really bring this camera out any further. Same with the light, because it's just how it is. So I'm going to have an overhead rig for the camera, which is the phone, but that should be able to sort of slot on the desk or over there and come up and over. But we'll find out soon enough. But for now, this will do. Right, so I'm going to try not to drop any of these, because last time I built a machine, I sent my stuff flying everywhere. All right, no spare. What's it? Standoffs. That's all right. We're using a MATX, so I'll just steal a couple of the ATX standoffs and put them where I need them. So one there. And this one. I can torque my arm. It's got nice for cable management, these things for the grommets. I'm going to call this, I'm going to coin a phrase here, it's got nice grommetry. So it's got, geometry, shape, but grommetry, your grommets. I'm quite pleased with that. So these back panels, they come out from screws, so you don't have to wiggle and waggle. So no worries when you're putting your motherboard in, you don't have to sort of be overly concerned. This is what I like, a case with some room. How are we looking? Okay, sitting nice, yep. So I'm going to start with just using my screwdriver to put the screws in, just to make sure that we're not going to have any, because some of them can just be a bit annoying and cross thread and all sorts of stuff. But that seems all right, so I might just continue on with the screwdriver, because it doesn't take long. Yabba-dabba-doo. Just excuse my back for a moment. I'm going to reach over and find where I'm screwing into. It didn't work. Sometimes I think, you know, there's a dodgy screw in every pack, and you think which one's it going to be? As long as it doesn't cross thread and then pull the standoff out when you back it out, because that is just so frustrating. It's not funny. Just have to move this just a little. That's the light. I'm just going to move that. So this seems to be moving along quicker than I'm used to, which is good. So let's go ahead and put the funness that is the water cooling. It's a big box. First things first, my good people. And this is where it can get a bit so that's a 3-to-1 fan thing, so 3 fans in to 1 fan header. But we've got the thing at the back, so yeah, we have, so that'll be good. Big screws, little screws, all sorts of screws. Spring-loaded Watsits. Oh, look at, they give us some thermal paste, but I'll hang on to that as a spare. I'll use my Arctic Silver, so which is my plate that I want. 115X, new. 1700. I'll take him. That must be for the AM5. Pretty sure it said AM5 on the box. Yep, AM5. Right. So we are going to have a look at the instructions on this, because just to see. Hang on, let me have a look at this. Oh, you bloody ripper! The bracket to attach the water block to the CPU already in place. So it's just a case of putting this thing through, and it's even got 3M tape to hold it in place. All right, that's an improvement over last time I used it. And honestly, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you put tape on there to hold it in place? Because usually when you're dealing with this, you need 3 hands. Which I don't have, obviously. All right, so that's him in place. So then we can just plop him straight on. Now, I'm actually thinking I'm gonna put the power supply in first, because once I put this radiator up here, it's going to come down, and it might make my life a bit difficult. So I'm going to run all these cables and then power supply and that kind of thing, because it's just going to be easier. So if we stay with this camera angle, again, get rid of these things, the wire-based cable ties. Get rid of them. You don't want them breaking through and becoming bare metal and touching anything. Okay, it's not overly likely, but the fact that there is a possibility there at all is enough to make you go, yeah, we will avoid using them. Go the trusty old, the normal cable ties. So, what have we got here? What's this fella? Where are you going? Alright, so you're all going up there. Oh, okay, that's the reset switch. Yep, fair enough. So these ones we're just going to sort of bunch together. What are these? RGB and fan to the motherboard, right? So that runs off the fan controller, obviously. All right, so let's have a look. Let's have a looky. What are you doing in there? Fluff. Let's have a look at our RGB header options. One down there. That looks like it'll do us. I don't have an awful lot of light on this. There we go, it's a bit better. Is that one? Yeah, that's one up there. Okay, we might use that one up the top because that will be a bit easier to disguise, which is the, okay. I generally don't like these because they're just, I was going to say they're generally hard to plug in, but this one just decided, oh, I'll go straight in for you. No worries. Alrighty then. Okay, fan header. What do we got? What do we got? Is that one? Yeah, that's one. But I'll reserve that one for if we put a back fan at any point. Where is the CPU fan header? Ah, right there. Okay. So we must have one down the bottom somewhere. There we go. I'd prefer to come in from a different angle, but I don't think I can slide it down there. No, you can only do what you can do, can't you? There is one there. I suppose I could come down like this and it'll be more disguised than fuck. There we go. So if we're running it down like that, that will, because we've got power, main power goes there. Alright. So I'm just going to put one cable just to hold these little fellas through here. Good thing is you can reuse these loops for multiples. But I just want to hold these in place so they don't move. Cable management takes probably one of the longest parts of the build. However, it's very satisfying when you do it and you get it nicely done. Alright, so that's the headers. And where are they on this machine before I commit? In the usual spot, so you might come through the grom there. The gromulet. So USB 3. At least these are, flat. The cables they've used on this are flat, so it's not quite as sticking out all over the place. Get him in there. I've seen a lot of boards lately, or not lately, I have seen a lot of boards, but not too many recently, that have had the USB 3 header there, but also one down here. But not so much anymore. So, there you go. We're going to put one here. I'll show you these cables after I'm done. These white ones, just going to bundle them along. The white ones being for the fans. I'm just going to bundle them along with the other stuff, just to sort of keep them neat. Ah, the days of the IDE cable, big flat ribbony things. Didn't matter what you could do, like they were just in the way. And people used to make a real art form of of folding them up and, you know, making them almost like a feature. And yeah, they look good. And I was always worried though with the folds. People would actually fold them. You sort of think, I'm not sure how that would last over time. But then they came up with rounded IDE cables, which is basically just rolled up, if you like, from sideways, and then put a sheath over it. And then you get the black UV reactive ones. I can't remember if I mentioned in a previous video or one of the ones that didn't make it, the old DFI LAN party motherboards. If I did, I apologise if I'm repeating myself, but they were really cool. They had a lot of black light reactive stuff on their boards. Like all your slots were different colours, whether it be orange or yellow, pink or green or blue. They all just went off under a black light, and specifically targeted at, you know, people who took their machines to LAN parties, which isn't such a common thing anymore because, you know, decent internet exists. But I still hear of them going on. But I suspect it would be easier to get to and from now because we don't have the big, I mean, if you are going to take your own monitors, unless of course you got one of those big, you know, super wide monitors. That could be a hassle. All right, so we've just sort of got these clipped up, you know, as neat as we possibly can for the time being. Now we've got, so USB, it's a USB 3. Is it 3.2? Well, USB-C. You've got the USB-C in the front of the case, and this is your header for your motherboard. It's good to see these being included more and more. And as with its other end, it's universal, left or right, doesn't matter which way you put it in, which I love. I probably should have done that before I cable tied. Who gives a rat's ass? Figure it out. HD audio. This one has to go down the bottom because that's where the plug is and always has been. I think that's probably the one thing that hasn't ever moved. Strangely enough. You've not got a cable coming up there. Don't like that, but what can you do? That's for power. So headers. So we've only got 3 this time. We've got the HDD LED, the power LED, and the power switch. So we're coming through there. Ow, shit. Oh, try not to get one of those pins up under your thumbnail. Hurty. All right. So I know this, but I don't forget it, but I always, so we've got the power LED across the top, and then the power switch, because they're on the same row, and we're working from the left. I'm not going to go back to the overhead cam at this point, because you're going to get a better view from over there. I don't know if I don't think I can zoom in on that camera. I can try and bring it closer. We could do that in a sec. So yes, with these headers, your LEDs, I always say it, get your polarity right. Get your positive and your negative. So your positive goes to the outside, to the left. Power switch, do whatever you like. Obviously put it on the right headers, but it doesn't need to have the polarity. And then the hard drive LEDs, they go directly below the power LEDs. Again with the positive on the outside. All right, so that is in. Right, let me see. I just don't know if I can really bring this any closer, because it might be. Well, if I could rest it there somewhere on something, that would be really, really helpful. But unfortunately, you know what? Just give me a sec. I am going to try and MacGyver it. Yeah, that'll do. So now we can sort of see a bit more what's going on. So you got your headers through here, because I just think overhead cam at this point is probably not that big a necessity. Actually, you know what? Oh, that's being used for that. I had what I thought was a brainwave, but it turns out it wasn't. Yeah, no, we'll be right. We'll be right. So we need to take that off and put it aside so it doesn't get damaged. All right, so that's in place. Power supply, 1000 Wattaroos. Using a gigabyte, I've used a few of these. They're pretty good. I've had no complaints. They're modular, reasonably priced. And I didn't. Yes, I did. Blade may need to be replaced. Make sure my mic's still on because I don't want it to cut out again. There's always a bit you miss. There we go. I've got plenty of room to work with in there, which is good. However, we're going to first figure out what we need, which is starting to get messy. Gee, I wonder if this is spam. PayPal, you have a new money request. Pay at. I sent a request for $12. Ah. A simple answer to that is, shove it up your ass. I've been getting so many spam calls lately on the phone. It's just been ridiculous. Like 15 or more a day, and sometimes it'll be like 3 or 4 straight, one after the other, bang, 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 bang. And, you know, I've tried ignoring them, I've tried just answering and just leaving it, you know, not saying anything. I've tried telling him to go for a walk in the park in a subtle way and not so subtle way, but honestly, it just doesn't work. So PCIe, we need that, obviously. PCIe, so I think with the 4070, it's going to have the TI. It's got the 3/8 goes into the special adapter. Big boy, need him. And CPU, what have we got with the CPU? That's another PCIe. Where's my CPU one? There he is. Just wondering if I've got 2 of them. Yeah, I do, because I've got an 8 and a 4 on board. I'm going to use them both. Yeah, don't worry about putting a label on them, will you? I'll figure it out. Bit of tape. And there's a little note on here, which most of you, if not all, if you've built a machine before, you know that these aren't interchangeable with other, even other models of the same one. I mean, theoretically, you could probably use this as a gigabyte, so you could probably use this on another gigabyte power supply. However, it does say please use original cables for installation. Certainly don't be going and mixing them with like trying to make this fit into a say a thermal take or something else, because it's not advisable, because even though you're supposed to be only getting 12 volts down some of these things, or 5 volts or whatever, you just don't know. Like, their cables are built at the same time as this, and so it's good practice. So always hang on to your spare cables, because if you don't, you're going to end up with power supply which you can't expand because you haven't kept them. Okay, that's my two thingies. Now, PCIe. Okay, so one. So we're going to run two, like, you've got two on one. So that'll go, you would use two from one and you'll use one from the other. And you'll, oh, there it is. Is it? Nope. What do I do with the other, aha, hiding in plain sight. You little bugger. Okay. PCIes. Well, what's he? Another PCIe. That's a spare, because I think I've got two. PCIe. I'm not plugging three in. I mean, a 4090. Yeah, maybe I might use three individual rails. But yeah, I think this will be fine. 4070 Ti. We did that configuration with a 4080 recently. We got away with an 850 watt power supply. Sort of, running close to the line there. But it was fine. I think a 4090, you would need to run three separate rails. Well, you wouldn't need to, but I'd say it might be worth doing. Okay, this is for main power. Get in. There we go. How are we going on time? 9 o'clock. Okay, so I've got about an hour before that delivery could possibly arrive. Right. And this is for the SATA, which we don't have any SATA drives, but there is a SATA power which runs all of the fans and RGBs and what have you. Alright, so we've used a fair few of these bits. Ow! Alright. So slide him into place. They gave me some screws. I don't know if I need to open them because I've got some here from the motherboard. Uno. Do. Oh yeah, just enough. Three. Can't see. Light is on the wrong angle. Is there a hole there? I'll find out. Nope, it's here. It's always puzzled me why they do that. The layout of the holes on the power supply. One sort of, just bit off. I'm sure there's an exceptionally good reason. So I ain't gonna question it. All right, let's get these bad boys going. So which way do you want to come through? You want to come through the top one. Then it shall be. Okay. Main power. And we'll be able to get him flat there. In fact, I'm going to do that now while I can. just putting a cable around him just to hold him in place. Go. Working with flat cables does definitely makes a big difference. Okay, so that's the 8. Yeah, it was definitely a smart decision to come in before I did the water cooling. Alright, so that's the 8 done. And now the 4. Which one is this? It's supposed to be the 4. But it's stiff, it doesn't want to... There we go. Slide him out. Pity. Oh yeah, just separate the cables like that. That'll do. And bring little Mr. 4 in. Get in. Go on. Okay, so he's in. Lovely, and I've got some anchor points down the bottom, down the back here, which of course I shall use. And I find if you do it as you go along, you're not faced with a big mess at the end. I mean, you need your cables to cooperate. Okay, there. And pop you two together. There. Okay. Keep them nice and flat. Right, so now we've got the unnecessarily long, well, you say unnecessarily long, but I'm sure if you were using a big case, you would appreciate the length of these SATA cables because they are big, they go on forever. Like from here, it would almost touch the floor. It's a nice change. Don't like having things that are just way too short. Excuse me. Here's one I missed. Clip. All right, so we're using the SATA power connector for the fan and RGB header. So we'll just clippy, and then tuck that back inside there so it's out of the way. Happy days. So we've got the PCIe, obviously, which is going to be coming in after the card is in, the video card. So I'll just pop them in there for the moment. Just remind me not to forget them, eh? I'm counting on you. So now we are on to our water cooling. I do like a white build. My machine's got a white case. It's quite subtle by comparison. I mean, it's got the the tempered glass side with lights and everything. Okay, fan. Right, so this, there is, let's get these things out of the way. So we don't need that, and we don't need that. We need that for the fans, and we don't need that. I will need to pull out a second SATA for these. This is where it gets messy in the back end, because you've got all of these adapters. Just got to figure out what we need. Okay, so that's your control. Okay, so you've got a controller. Okay, so you can, it looks like, oh, okay, so you'd use this if you, this one with the SATA. I believe you would use this one if you didn't have RGB on your motherboard, but we do. So we're gonna just pop him to the side. This one, we'll plug into the RGB, and then these are like daisy chain fans. So one of them goes into here, like so. This goes through to the controller on the back, I believe, because we've got the RGB, yes. And they daisy chain the fans, and that powers that. And then RGB is controlled through the case for everything, which is really nice. So yes, let's daisy chain them first. Well, let's get them mounted on the thing first. All right, back to the fans. I want to get this done before the bed arrives, because I've got to put that together. It'll be the challenge of the flat pack. I mean, it's a nice bed. It's sort of Hamptonsy style, but as with everything, it's flat pack. And the bed head's not. Finally getting the bed head. Yay! When we first moved into the house, we thought, oh, we need to get a bed head, because our bed didn't have one. We had a nice king size bed when we lived in Tassie, and a queen size in the guest room. And the king size, well, the frame had seen better days. It was just a bit, how's your father? So we thought, oh, we'll sell that, save some space on the way back, use the queen size. But it turns out we're having the 3 dogs sleep with you. Small as they may be, queen size just isn't enough. So we went looking around all over the place, found some nice beds. None of them initially were like, no, that's the one. We're like, we like it. Not sure if it's exactly what we're after. Like, is it too modern for the house, or, you know, is the quality, blah, blah, blah. But the decision was made for us anyway, because they said, oh, it won't be available till October. It's like, why have it on the floor if you don't bloody have it in stock? I don't mind waiting, you know, a week or two even, you know, if it has to come up from the warehouse. Because where we are, you know, the main warehouse for these furniture places is in Brisbane, about 1,400 k's south. And you think, well, okay. Although the region is growing, so there's no reason why you couldn't have a northern distribution centre. But anyway, we went to another place. We walked in. We thought, we'll give this lot a go. We walked in. First one we see is a Hampton style king size, and we're like, oh, that's it. And expecting the worst, we said, so how long do we have to wait for this? And they said, we have it in stock, ready to go. So we're like, yay! And yeah, so it's coming today. Went and got a new mattress as well, which we'll see how that goes for my back. I mean, sounding like this is certainly no good for my back, so I should know better. But I'm doing this for you guys. So you got a better view. Right. Now, this is where you do need some extra hands. So how did I say I was going to do this? Like that, yeah. So now we've got to nurse these. Just stop. Okay? Stop it. Yeah, 3D. Woo! Okay, pop him through there. Pop him through there. This is going to create all sorts of bloody mess on the other side, but you know, got a weird feel to them. These the coating on these cables. They're like, they feel sticky. They're real. It's just real grippy rubber. But you feel like your fingers should be all sticky and stick to everything after you've handled it. So I had an idea when I'm doing the software install, I'm going to switch cameras, because last time I tried that, the camera I used didn't work out so well. So I'm going to try pointing the main camera at the screen, because as I've said before, I don't have a capture card yet. I've got other more pressing matters that I need to sort out before I get one of them, because you want to get a decent one, but I will. But yeah, so until then I'll point the camera at the screen and hope that it looks all right, and I'll use the other one to make good. Alright, so now I'll grab all of these dickheads. I'm missing one. Alright. Are they all coming through nicely? Yep. Alright, so that's there. So now let's line them up. Okay. So now it's just these small ones. We get, oh, fuck yeah. I hate that. Second time's a charm. We'll get one in there, and we'll get one in the opposite end. Quickly, quickly. Don't leave it tagging like that. All right. There we go. So now I've got those two in place. I get my hand back. And I could just go through. Shaping up to be quite a nice looking machine. Just enough black in there to offset the white, but enough white to make it look like it's a deliberate white machine, if you get what I mean. There we go. I think the screw head is just ever so slightly small for this head, so it does drop it quite easily. Don't even think about it. Nearly done. Use them all. Use all the screws. Tempting to just use every second one, but you've got 3 fans there blowing their guts out. So you want vibrations, leave some screws out. You want nice and smooth, use them all. Skibbity, skibbadoo. And one more. All right, meshy, meshy, top to top. Get the mesh. Make sure it all still fits nicely. Yep, lovely, beautiful. Right, so where's this thing going? That's going up and over. That's part of the daisy chain, and that's a fan header. All right, so better to reach. Don't worry, I'm not putting it on yet. I haven't put thermal paste on. It's going to be tight. Oh, fucking thing. It's going to block the thermal take, but I don't think it's going to go. I don't think I could have done it. What about if we go down like that? No. What about if we go up? Up and over. Oh yeah, once that's in I can probably manoeuvre them. Alright. So one more of the daisy chains. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. The 12 volt cabling. I mean, I would have been able to do it before, after I'd done the water cooling, but it just would have been a bit of a pain. And you know. Alright, so protective coating off the water block. Where be my Arctic silver? It be in my bag. I'd be right back. Here it be. So, I'm going to lie this down, but I'm going to do it in such a way that all these cables are over the edge here, because I'm going to need to be able to pull them through. Where are you, you rat bags? Okay, apparently you're through, but I don't see it. There's some fine tuning to do there. I'll just bring this over, so there we go. Arctic silver. About as much as a small pea. A small pea. You don't want to be doing a big one, because then it could go everywhere. So just spread it round. As I said, you do it how you want to do it. There's no real wrong way. Well, there is a wrong way. I shouldn't say that. You can just put the dot like that and let the heat sink and the pressure spread it out. Or you can do this. I just find this soothing. So I've got a nice coverage on the thing. So now, right, now I feel like I'm missing something here. Definitely are. What are we missing? Here we go. So we've got to put these little silver doodads, screw them into the, if they'll go in, that's the key, will they go in? So therefore it must be the dark ones, because the silver ones will not screw in. That's just to give you a mounting point. Yeah, see, if I try and screw that in there, that definitely doesn't go. However, yeah, because that's the other Intel one. So, yep, so those silver ones would be for the AMD. I'm not sure they fully appreciate the fact that people use fingers to install these things, so getting a grip on them is sometimes difficult. Right. So that's 2. 3. Yeah, see these heat sinks are getting in the way a little bit, but yeah, we can work around it. More or less, I just touch that thermal paste. Happy days. That's all right. No, that's fine. All right. They're in tight. It does have a bit of a rattle, but they're in tight. So now the annoying bit. Let's find which I've got to find which cable it is. Can you see that? Yeah, there it is. So get him. Where the bloody hell's that one? There's okay, so you better fit. You better reach, you stupid. All right. So we'll finger tighten these. That one's going to be a pain to get to. Maybe not so much. Get out the way, cable. All right. So they are on. So we're going to properly tighten them down. So you can see it's got a bit of room to move. Yeah, see, I don't see any other option for where they can go. And I could do it like that. I suppose you could do it like that so you're seeing the thermal take. Because you do it like that, it sort of obstructs it. So I think maybe that might be the slightly prettier way to go. Now get these cables out the way. Yeah, I don't mind the way those cables go. It's funny you get white cables from the water block, but not from the whatever else I was talking about. Anyway, all right, back to main cam for now, just to sort all this rubbish out. Look at the amount of bloody, look how long they are. All right, so we need to sort out. So that's a fan. Good with me. So how many? Well, we've got a fan header here, which is good because that's one. That's for the CPU. Normally, you would plug that in on the motherboard. So I'm wondering, where is it? If I can find it. Yeah, there he is. If I can feed him back through, because that might be the sensible choice, but I've got the cables through the back, if and you know what I mean. There we go. Yeah, get on. Because otherwise you won't get the right fan readings if you're using a fan utility, or even in the BIOS. Nope, that didn't take. fucking, excuse me. I just got to figure out where to put my bloody hand. Nope. I've got a machine to look at after this, which is, honestly, it's got the most aptly named case. It's sitting in a, I think, I want to say it's a Cooler Master case, but I'm not sure, but it's a Trooper. And honestly, what this machine has been through, it is such a little trooper. It's been through a flood, apparently. We had floods here about 4 years ago. I didn't live here at the time, but they were pretty bad. A lot of the town was inundated. Yeah, and apparently this PC went under in the floods, but it kept going. Like obviously they dried it out, did the right thing. That's not going to stay where I want it to. There's not much I can do about that. Yes, it made it through the floods. Now something's gone wrong with it. But yeah, it's certainly got a unique fragrance about it. So it basically needs a full strip and clean and rebuild. But there may be an issue with the power supply, so we'll test all that first, figure out what's going on before we get into it. Because I'm going to say if it's too far gone, because it's not a new machine, so if it's too far gone, it's not worth it. We might be looking at a replacement, but we'll certainly see how we go. Okay, so I'm getting these things so I can daisy chain them together. There's 3. There should be 4. There's 4. And those 3 should all be fans. They are. Alright, so these 3. Bring that down here. Leaving this fella. No, not that fella. Son of a bitch. Yeah, where's that thing? That's the one I want. So it must be this one. Goes into him, because it's the only other option. Because that's just, yep. It's a little bit of a puzzle, but get there. Alright, so we're gonna... I don't know if I like the feel of this. These things, like, they just feel sticky. It's almost a little bit, ugh, a little bit gross. But it doesn't leave your hand sticky, but it kind of feels like it's going to, so you're like, ugh. Maybe I'm just strange. Oh, we're getting close. We're on the home stretch. Once I get this tied up and get the video card in, then we can fire it up and give it a crack. Okay, that's them. And now we've got the fanny. Oh, what's going on with Matt? Get over. Matt. It's got Matt creep. Alright. So, one little fan. Two little fans. 3 little fans. Right. And then that fan goes on to there. Who's dinging me? I'll check shortly. Okay, trim that. And then a couple around here to hold them all together. That's why you want to make sure you got your cabling right. Because when you cable tie things up and if you bugger it up, it's a pain, to put it lightly. That was a miniature one. It was weird. I had a mini cable tie in the bag of the bigger ones. Right. Alright, so let's, jeez. If I can get the bugger on. Hopefully that'll be alright. It's only a 3-pin fan header. Oh look, I know if it doesn't fire up, then I just know to change that to something else. Now, how are we going to do this? We'll sort of chuck them up around here. Alright, let's put a cable tie. This is where it does get tricky with your cable management, because you're starting to get a lot of cables now. So we're just going to run with some lines that we've already got. Go through. Excuse me. That just popped out. My back is starting to give me a bit of grief. And okay, so that's not looking too bad, you know, because there's a lot going on there. So right, all we need now is the video card. Starting to get some a bit of heft to it. So we'll go back to the overhead. Hey, don't you go anywhere. Okay. Now, big boy. Not the biggest of boys that I've used, but still a big boy. And nothing overly exciting in there, so we'll chuck it in there. Oh, it's only two 8 pins it needs. So I do have an unnecessary thingy PCIe. But you know what? I'm going to leave it in because it's in there. It's future-proof then. So if he decides to get a 4080 or even a 4090 down the track, he's got the extra stuff there ready for it, rather than having to retrofit it. So it's not taking up a bunch of room, so we might as well just use it. And there is a graphics card bracket, which will be interesting to see how it works, because I've seen some and they're bloody useless. I mean, the hell? Is there anything in this? Just check the handbooks. Graphics card, anti-sag. Ah, okay, so. Ah, right, so. Get off, man. Except. Part list. So you either get this or you get that. Well, that ain't gonna fit. So you know what? I'm going to use my own, because that is a dumb design. I do have another one which I'm quite prepared to use in a build such as this. Alright. It's exciting. Well, she's certainly got a bit of heft. And then there. Nice. As you would expect, it's covered in plastic. So get all that off. It's definitely advisable to not forget the plastic, especially on a video card that gets hot. Leave me alone. Pulling my cord out of the mic. Right, this is a big boy. Now, which buttons need to come out? Those top two. Right. The top two bits. Okay, easy done. Keep those screws. Because these are replaceable, we will obviously hang on to them. Don't forget your plastic bit on the end of the header. Alright, make sure that's disengaged. Line the bugger up. Smush. A gentle smush, of course. Yeah, I really did try and find a white video card, but couldn't find anything in the 4070 Ti's, which would have looked very nice on this build, but I still don't think we're back to full supply. We're back to much better than we were a couple of years ago. Time 10 to 10. Right. Okay, so that's in. That looks good. So you can see a little adapter thing there. So I'll plug him in. So 2 PCIe's go into there, and then that goes into the card. So upside down this chain. Click. So I think, I don't know, yeah, we'll go that way. I guess there's not really that many options. Ouch. All right, back to camera 1. Camera 1. So we'll grab a PCIe and guess we'll feed it through the back here. Yep. It's good having the screen there. I can sort of see the other side of the monitor. But now we'll flick around so you may see what be happening. I would like to see some sort of change in design so we can, you know, I don't know, just the PCIe cables coming over like that, it just seems to be a little bit, like what do we do with it? You can't avoid them. And there's nowhere, they just don't look real nice. I think coming over the top is probably better than underneath. I mean, that is my thoughts. You know, it's not too bad. But there's really not much that we can do. We can just sort of do that. And what's pushing what? Just stop it. So just a couple more tie-offs just to keep this PCIe in place. Keep it nice and out of the way. Go. Oops. All right, then that one will just... This fella, as I said, this other PCIe, he's plugged in. I'm going to leave it there because we've got room to tuck it out of sight. Just so it's there if he ever decides down the track to get a bigger card. And you've even got, I believe, you can take that, oh you can't see, sorry. You can take a panel off from the, down here, the power supply shroud. That would be if you've got like a power supply that had fancy lighting or whatever. But that one is, well, that's not overly exciting, is it? No. Okay, we are back. We're ready to fire it up and get going. We're just going to go with the one camera because I just can't get a decent shot of the screen. So you can see me, you can see the screen. You only need like an idea of what's going on anyway, just so you can see. The main thing is we want to see it fire up. So let us. Okay, HDMI. I need a mouse. Now, I'm going to put them up top, otherwise I will forget. And keyboard. Alright, so this is just a cheapie I got, but it was kind of funky. And it's not wireless, but that doesn't matter. So I'll show it to you once it lights up. So I'll just leave it up there. Power. Power would be ideal. Come on. Power. And of course I don't have my windows. 1 second. Oh, doorway there. Must be washing as well. I'm sure you all wanted to hear. All right. Windows, windows, windows. Stick him in there. And master power on. Final check. Power, power. Wait, you get back in there. Let's see, you're going to be someone who doesn't want to stay where he's supposed to. It's just a cable that's not quite tucking in, but there we go. That should be all right. Okay, get that keyboard out of the way. I'll come around this side for the moment of truth. Power button. Okay, so RGB on the RAM and the video card. That's cool. No RGB on the no no. All right. Oh no, there they are. Ignore me. They're up. I just couldn't see them. So there's a. So we're going through the restart and all that. Yeah, so it's all working. They're a bit more subtle than I sort of anticipated. I'll turn some of these lights off. Well, that actually makes it worse, doesn't it? Yeah. All right. Anyway, so we're going through our, here we go, there's our boot screen. So this is the keyboard, just a little RGB retro style. It's upside down for you. But yeah, it's a nice little thing. It's got a good sort of clicky noise to it. So now we're just waiting for Windows to start. There we go. As I said before, the first boot always takes much longer than what you can expect down the track because it's got to probe the RAM, if you like, and sort of get some readings and go, oh, okay, I've got this on board, and you know the BIOS initially sort of getting its readings. Like I've got an i7, I've got 32 gig of RAM, I've got this, I've got that. But after that's done, then you'll see much better boot times. So, where's my mouse? I'm going to have to come around this side. I can't see that far. All right. Australia, mate. Australia. Where is it? Oh, for God's sake. What am I doing? Oh, English. English, Australia. Yeah, that'll do me. Install now. So, yeah, we'll just quickly run through this. Do it later. Pro. Next. Ta-da. Next. Custom install. 2 terabytes. Lovely. All right, off it goes. So we'll just wait for that to do its little install thing now, and then we'll be up and running. Just remember we'll see how long this takes. I can always trim it if I need to. Do the Microsoft account bypass thing because you know we don't want to use the Microsoft account. So that's the OOBE/bypass NRO. Or if you want to, you can just, that's via the command prompt, or you can just do a bogus email address like know@thankyou.com. He did tell me he wanted RGB, and RGB he has. Alright, so we'll include that in there. Alright, we're on the restart. I'll keep this for him. El Boxo. Oh, actually I'm going to need that when the bed comes. Rubbish, rubbish. All right. Starting services. So yeah, it's loaded pretty quickly. Pretty typical for what I'd expect for an i7 with 32 gig of RAM. I mean, the i9, that really rocketed along. That was ready to go pretty quickly. So yeah, I'd like to get myself one, but I'll just wait. So I have this knack of, buying something like when I bought the i7 and that machine. I bought the 11th gen, and then the 12th gen came out. I was like, God damn it! And now 13th is out, so I'm worried that if I go and buy 13th now, all of a sudden 14th gen is going to come out. Now I know they're on the horizon, so I might sort of wait and see. However, if 14th gen comes out, I could then probably pick up a more nicely priced 13th gen i7. But it depends if they're going to change their socket or if it's going to be compatible. So if, for instance, if they stay at LGA 1700, if the 14th gen is that as well, and the boards that support the 13th gen, if they can be flashed to support the 14th gen, because that's one thing I think AMD has over Intel is wider support for the boards. Anyway, let's do this, Shift F10, yep, that worked. You've got to click back into here, otherwise it doesn't work. Not CMD, that's where I am. OOBE / bypass NRO. Return. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with this little keyboard. I mean, it cost me, what was it? $55, I think it might have been. It's quite reasonable. I mean, you can't change the lighting or anything like that. It's purely visual. But I think it's quite nice. Sorry, I hear everything spinning up in here. Okay, so let's go through the motions. I'll just pop over here. Australia, yes. US keyboard, skip, another one. I don't have internet. Again, this is why we do the bypass thing, so we can set up with a local account. I've forgotten his name, haven't I? Where is it? It's over here. There it is. Liam. That's right. Liam. Oof. Turn off, turn off, turn off, turn off. Now I must remember to take a photo of this one when it's done in a good setting, because I tend to forget, and it's nice to be able to put it on my Facebook page and say, here's one we prepared earlier, so to speak. So let's get these panels on, if we can. Now that everything's fired up, we can complete the build. So, and the other advantage of cable management is you really minimize the amount of smooshing you need to do. Got him. Getting all of the sections of it. Is that in? I don't know. So I don't know if you can see in the bottom right hand corner there, Gigabyte Control Center wants to install itself. I feel like that's not, I don't know, I think it is. I'm going to go through the motions. Normally I'd say don't worry about it because the Gigabyte one is rubbish. Alright. But I'm going to do it just so I can sort of see if it does what it did before and just show you guys. Well, look, for instance, okay, do not show this message again, okay? Your options are install or cancel. So obviously you have to cancel. So I'm going to do restart. Now, let's have a look at this. I wonder if this is a support bracket. I'll start it quickly. There we go. I'm just using that support bracket just to hold it up because, yeah. However, it does have. I'm going to utilise the double-sided tape because in transport I don't want it to come undone. There we go. Okay, 1, 2. Tickle my shoe. All right. That's pretty good. Hold that in place. All right, so while I'm waiting to see if that app thing comes back up, let's pop this in. Does this have an inside plastic as well, or just an outside? Sometimes they have inside. Yeesh, no, they don't. I didn't like that feeling on the fingernails. Click. And ready? Oh, nice. Now that, there it is. The app thing doesn't seem to be coming back. However, that does not mean that it is not going to come back, because it just keeps coming back. In everything, all the other ones I've done, it just keeps on coming back, which is really, really frustrating. But it's not going to do it. So, all right, let's pretend for a minute it did come back. You have to go into the BIOS to disable it, which is it's kind of buried. So I'm going to just restart into the BIOS. Where's my keyboard? I'll show you where it is. Shift. Restart. Okay, please wait. So yeah, once you decide, I'm not going to go through and try and get it to do it because it's a pain, but just be aware that if you do install it, it could, I have had it happen where it installed a second user account, which you don't want. So I'm just going to go into the BIOS and show you where to disable it. I know I've got a close-up screen, so I'll talk to you while I'm doing it. Just get him out of the way. Okay, troubleshoot, advanced, UEFI, restart. I got a little wood grain mouse too. See? I'm a matching keyboard. See? I thought that was pretty funky. You know, wooden style retro keyboard. It's Wi-Fi. I'd normally use this, but I wanted to use the colourful one today. I am a keyboard whore and mouse. If I see a keyboard or a mouse that I like, I'll get it. Doesn't matter. All right, so let's have a quick scan of things here. So the CPU is running at nearly 5.3 gigahertz. That's pretty nice. 37 degrees. That's pretty good. So we've got DDR5. It's running at 4800. It supposedly can do 5600, I think. So we can enable XMP to get that, but I'm not doing that at this point. So M.2, that's our drive. So what we're going to do for this thing is we want to go in advanced mode. And then when you're in advanced mode, I believe it's settings. Now, I/O ports. Okay, so in settings and then I/O ports, this is where you're going to find it, which doesn't make any sense at all. Then you go down to Gigabyte Utilities Downloader Configuration, double click that. Then you go in there, it's saying enabled, double click, disabled, double click to disable it, and then save and exit. Save and exit. Now this one is not telling us what we've done. Do you want to save and exit? Okay, I'm going to go back to easy mode. I've made a change. It's the system date. Well, the date's right. Time's wrong, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I save and exit. Okay, so now it's saying to me, I had to go back into easy mode because the save and exit wasn't working. Modified Gigabyte Utilities downloader from enabled to disabled. Are you sure? Damn straight I am. And then, yep, so that will just now reboot and that won't prompt me to install it again. So I'd advise you to do the same if you see that, if you get a Gigabyte board and do that. Apart from the potential backdoor that was spoken about, it's actually pretty useless. It just doesn't find drivers. It's absolutely rubbish. So don't even waste your time with it. Just let Windows do it. Go to Gigabyte directly and download them that way because it's just not really good. I wouldn't recommend it. So here we are at the end of another build. I'm pleased with how this one's turned out. I think it's quite spunky, if you will. I'm sure my client's going to be happy with this. Like it's it's RGB, it's white, it's stylish, it's powerful, and the video card, when it kicks off, the fans light up as well. So it's really cool. But yeah, so i7's 32 gig RTX 4070 Ti, great machine. So I'm just going to go and tweak it now and get it finalised for him to pick up, possibly later this afternoon, and then move on to the Trooper and see what's wrong with him. See if I can figure out why he's being like he is. Maybe I'll film that later on. I don't know. I'll wait for the furniture to arrive first and then see how we go. Anyway, that's it from me today. Thanks for watching. And next time, I don't know what's in the pipeline, so we'll just have to wait and see. But until I do see you next time, take care, have fun, and thanks for watching. See ya.